Live from the Channel Seed Studios, this is Jared and Jabo and Iowa Everywhere. Jared Stansbury, Jordan Bohannon, together on Iowa Everywhere.
Yo, welcome into the podcast. It's Wednesday morning. What's up, Jabo? What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? I'm doing well. It's getting warmer out. I'm feeling great.
It is getting warmer out. It was like 75 degrees yesterday, and now it's 33 right now in central Iowa. We're just going back and forth between it being hot and it being cold.
I think next week though, I'm really excited.
Yeah, 70s, I think, most of the week. It's going to be absolutely glorious. And then I think it all culminates with a nice big thunderstorm again. That's just how we're in a cycle of it gets warm and then it storms and then it gets cold again.
Are we officially in the old era, Jared, where all my friends are doing it now? There's a severe thunderstorm warning, there's a tornado warning, and we're all going outside taking videos of it and sending to each other. Are we officially old?
I've been doing that for a long time. So I think that I have long since been officially old, if that's the barrier. The first time I ever went viral on Twitter was because I tweeted something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was your first. I'm a Chris Williams type age right now.
Yeah. That was my first. I'm Chris Williams type of moment. Yeah.
That's close. That's close to like end of it all. Like that's out. Like that's really far down the line.
It's like beating, it's like in a video game, you get to the second, it's like the second to last boss battle, Have a tweet go viral. That's all it takes. And then have a tweet go viral. Next step, make bank. That's it. That's how it goes. All right, we got plenty to talk about on today's podcast. Of course, have the national championship game from Monday night. UConn wins their fifth national championship since 1999. We'll talk about the kind of the fallout from the women's national championship game, which has been one of the stupidest conversations that I've seen people have on the internet over the last several days. Talk a little bit about the Masters. I'm sure we'll find some other random things to come up with here. Iowa falls in the national championship game to LSU, but the two dominant stories from the game, the officiating was horrendous all the way around. And then Angel Reese with the trash talk towards the end of the game directed at Caitlin Clark. That has set the internet on fire in a lot of different ways, has been one of the dominant sports stories over the last 48 hours. What was your reaction to all of it?
Well, I'll love to start with the refs.
Yeah.
That honestly, I haven't watched a lot of women's basketball this season. That honestly will top it all of games, including men's basketball. The worst officiated game might be in the history of college sports. I've never seen more touch fouls called. I've never seen more bizarre fouls called in general than that game. But other than that, I thought it was ratings-wise, dude, they had 10 million viewers, I think was the average amount of viewers. Mm-hmm. Talking about really making women's basketball well known on the map now. Like you gotta give a lot of credit for how they've handled, Caitlin Clark being a superstar. I think the media has done everything possible, obviously, to push the narrative of how great of a player Caitlin Clark is and a generational player, because she is. So I do want to give the props to media for doing that, because she deserves all the media hype. Anyone that's watched her knows it's well deserving. But LSU too, man. Like they were a fun team to watch too. I enjoyed watching the women's basketball game more than the men's championship game, and I never thought, honestly, I would ever say that.
You knew it was a well played game when both teams scored. I think LSU scored like 95 points. Like both teams were scoring points, even with as bad as the officiating was. There were still a lot of points being scored. So it just is. The officiating was just frustrating because it broke up the rhythm of the game a lot, and obviously it put the best players on the bench, which is what my biggest issue with it is. If there's ever a time to not have the best players on the bench because of foul trouble, it's probably the fucking national championship game.
Right, and everyone's watching because of
the best players
who was playing, exactly. So that was really disappointing. But
I read I read a thing that the guy who used to be the men's coordinator of officials, like, that the officiating was bad when officials have turned on each other. Like when you start getting comments from other people who work in officiating and they're like, yeah, the officiating in that game was horrible. And that's what basically this guy said. And he said that when he used to be the men's coordinator of officials, when he would go in for the Final Four in the national championship game, he would go into the officials' locker room and remind them how important it is that the star players play in the game. That feels like something that should happen for every single game like that. Like, it's like, hey, this is a big game. This is a big moment. We can't let that get the best of us, and we can't start being stupid taking the best players out of the game,
I love the meme on Twitter that it's been going viral the past couple of weeks for men's games and women's games. It's the guy who's pointing in the mirror. He's like, go in there and make this all about yourself. That has to be the most perfect meme for exactly what every official, especially like Courtney Green and Paul Zell, do when they step foot on every court.
Yeah, and then it was doubled up with the fact that the officiating was horrible in the Florida Atlantic game.
Yep.
On Saturday, which I knew when I think that San Diego State had 7 fouls and Florida Atlantic had 1 as Florida Atlantic built up their lead. I looked at my roommate. I was like, well, here we go. This is how it flips. It was the same thing that happened in the Creighton game, like the same exact thing. And all of a sudden you look up at the score bug the next time to see what the fouls are, and it's 7-6 or something like that. And you're like, yep. All of a sudden San Diego State's right back in the game. That's exactly how it goes.
It's crazy how you can actually predict what's about to be called. Like if you've watched basketball enough at this level and have seen it occur, you can seriously predict when there's going to be a swing and fouls. Like why is that a thing? It's ridiculous, and it's frustrating because it ruins the flow of the game of basketball at the end of the day.
I mean, the only way that I think that they could get that you fix it is that if some of these teams that want to play the way that a San Diego State does, wants to play a way that an Iowa State does in when they're playing, like you have to just call every foul. There has to come a point where an officiating crew says we're going to call everything. And I don't care if that means that you get called for 40 fouls tonight, you're going to get called for everything. And we're going to do it every single game. Until then, why would teams stop? Because the officiating's always going to adjust to them by the time that the game is over. And then by the time the game's over, you've had an opportunity to be able to win the game,
There's just too big of a difference. I mean, that's a great point. We talked about earlier in the year when Iowa and Iowa State play, like it was going to be greatly impacted on how they were going to call the game. And they called a lot of touch fouls in Iowa State, and that greatly affected an advantage for Iowa. So at the end of the day, there has to be, at some point, we have to get to the instance where everything is called the exact way throughout basketball.
Uniformity. Yeah. Like how it is in the NBA. There's it's a uniform game. It doesn't matter who the officials are on a given night. Yeah, I'm sure there are some officials that are better than others, and I think that guys will beef with others because more from an ego standpoint probably than from the other things. And that's but at the end of the day, what is getting called is the same. And how it's going to be called is the same every single game.
Yeah, it's long overdue too for how fast not only men's basketball has gone, like exposure wise, media, right, all down the road. How much money is involved in the game now? On top of women's basketball now, we're long overdue for uniformity with calls in games, and it's damaging. It's ruining it. That's why I think it was so hard to watch this NCAA tournament. I struggled to watch some of these games this year because of how poorly officiated these games have been.
All right, now to the other side of this conversation, the trash talk at the end of the game. I imagine that you will probably come at this from a pretty similar standpoint to where I do. I thought that the outrage over it was was really stupid because it was what Angel Reese did weird. I think that those are two different conversations. I think to follow someone around the floor, pointing at your ring finger, that kind of thing, that's weird. That's over the top. That's excessive. At the end of the day, though, I don't think that anyone should be offended by that. Anyone should be like, oh, that's classless, any of those kinds of things. Because when you want to compete and you want to compete at a high level, you get people that are intense, man. And people that are going to, when they beat you, they're going to let you know about it. And Caitlin Clark is one of those people that when she beats you, she's going to let you know about it. So no one can be offended then when they turn around and someone does the same thing to them. Even, again, if it might have been over the top and a little bit weird, it doesn't change the fact that it's not anything more than what has ever been happening before.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I guess first off, I'm ashamed that was the headline after the game because it is not something that should have been talked about. And it's something that ruined what should have been talked about is how great that game was and how great the players were on the court. And you're right, Jared. I'm coming from an aspect where I obviously I played at that level. I know what it's like. People talking shit to you. I've talked my fair amount of shit throughout college. I mean, if you want to, if you want to respect my opinion or not, Iowa fans or Iowa State fans, I mean, I left my shoes on Iowa State court, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was in action. I was talking shit. I was like letting everyone know we won the game. And I had to go back there.
Right, which you didn't know at the time. Yeah.
And obviously, I didn't know at the time when I left my shoes. I had to go back there and face all the people I talk shit to, right? I had everyone chanting "fuck Bohannon" for 40 minutes in the game. And if you listen to me in the press conference, I said the same. I was like, that's what it is. I have to be able to deal with it. I mean, that's the way of the game. I talk my shit. You guys did yours. And that's the same instance here. I think you made a great point. There's two different arguments here. There was a like how weird it was, and was it deserving, or was there a problem with it? I don't think there was any problem with it. Caitlin even said it too. The fact that they just won the national title and she's talking shit, they're excited they won. I don't see any issue with that. Caitlin did her fair share this year. I respect the hell of Caitlin. I respect the hell of the Angel girl with LSU. That should not have been something that was talked about as much as it was.
Yeah, it just is. It's unfortunate because women's basketball deserves better discourse than that. Like, I feel like it's way too hard. People try way too hard to make it like a soap opera. They don't know how to talk about ball just in general. So then they feel weird that they're like talking about women and not men. And it makes it like this weird discourse of everybody fighting over nothing because it's like they just don't know how to talk about women's basketball. Just talk about ball, man. It's the same thing. And it's good basketball. That's why it deserves more, because it is genuinely good basketball to watch and to talk about. And the conversation around it doesn't always have to be this stupid shit that's like happening in the side. There's more to it than that. It's actual good basketball. We can analyze it like it's actual good basketball.
And I think that's what we've touched on this a lot too, as us two on the show, especially in the year, about just reporters in general and how cringe some of these guys are and how weird they are and how they report the game. ESPN, it falls in that line, especially with what they were talking about after this game with the controversy of her talking shit to Caitlin. And it turned into a whole political and race debate, and everyone was talking about ESPN, how they always do. And man, we are just trying to watch this game. We're trying to appreciate Caitlin and Angel and all these phenomenal players that were on the court, and you guys are just ruining it. Like, it ruined the moment for LSU. I think it ruined the moment for Iowa for the magical run they had to get to the national championship. If that was the main story, which it was, that is a shame of how it was handled by all the reporters across the board, especially ESPN. I thought it was a real shame how they did that.
Yeah, and it just is. That's where it comes into a conversation too. Like, the officiating, the game deserves better officiating than that. It was officiated like a game that people thought, people who are the higher ups thought nobody cared about, and which is doing it a disservice. It does the entire sport a disservice to be treated that way. And that's why I had an issue with the officiating. That's why I had an issue with that conversation afterwards, because the game and the sport are too good to be treated like that, and it's constant. It never seems to stop, that it can't be about what's going on the side. And we need smarter people talking about these things that understand the sport, that understand ball, and they can, convey that, like, this isn't controversial, and that was where I felt it was disappointing, because you see people who you feel like should know better, to know that these things are not a big deal, but yet they are still being made into one.
I mean, there could have been so many other big stories that could have been the headline after that game. Officiating would have been fine, because that would have expanded the game more to be more beneficial next year and the years before that. but they decided to do that to single out a girl that just won a national title and talking shit to a player that did enough talking shit throughout the year, especially in the NCAA tournament. I mean, what are we doing? It's embarrassing, honestly. It's embarrassing how they handle it, and I think that's why people find it so hard to. I mean, women's basketball. You think about. I'll say this about men's basketball and men's sports: the amount of people and guys that talk shit in those sports that are men. Like it is just watch an NBA game. It happens every single play. And
just because people on TV can't see it happening doesn't mean that it's not happening.
Yeah, it happens all over the place, especially college basketball. Half that stuff isn't televised. Like you don't see half the stuff that goes on. I promise you, like that should not have even been talked about what happened after the game.
Yeah. It's just stupid, dude. Just a stupid situation, and it became bigger than the game, because of that, which is what really stinks.
Yeah.
And it should have been about, Jasmine Carson comes off the bench, knocks down 5 3-pointers, 6 3-pointers, something like that. Was absolutely incredible. The way that LSU just in general, like they had to be able to knock down shots if they were going to win the game. Iowa had shown against South Carolina that they were going to dare people to be able to knock down shots from the outside, and LSU was able to do it. That's why they win. And that's what the conversation should have been, not, anything like that. I did think it was funny how the LSU players said they felt disrespected by the way that they had guarded South Carolina. I thought that was very much, to me, you could tell Kim Mulkey had been hammering that into their heads in the days prior to the game. It's about like Kirby Smart telling the Georgia football team that people said they were going to go 5-7, which is like the dumbest shit that anybody had ever heard. That it was absolutely not true. But a coach had a way of being able to work it into there and be like, this is disrespectful to you too, right?
Yeah. Anyone that's been playing any sport in their entire life know exactly why those players are saying that in the press conference. You're exactly right. The coach was hammering that, saying how disrespected you should feel because of how they made another team feel. It's crazy.
Is if they try to do this to you, you got to tell them or show them why you shouldn't be doing it. Show them why you shouldn't be doing it. It's just low key though. When Caitlin did wave off the South Carolina player that was out at the 3-point line, that was stated out when she waved her up, that was disrespectful as fuck. Like, I will not lie. That was high level disrespect right there. I respect the level of disrespect.
And imagine that girl. I forgot the point guard's name on South Carolina, but imagine that girl mentally, what she's thinking. Like, you could just tell. Like, oh my gosh, I am so open, I can't shoot the ball. Imagine saying that to yourself. I'm so open, I can't shoot the ball.
Yeah, it's tough. You psych someone out. You get somebody's head a little bit when they're like, "Oh man, am I really this bad that you have to guard me like this?" And it worked. That's what we got to give Iowa credit. Like that was a fantastic game plan, and it worked to perfection. All right, let's flip things over to the men's side. UConn rolls to a title with by beating San Diego State. I thought San Diego State we're going to get the officiating flip again about midway through the second half, and they were going to start to really threaten them. But UConn was just too damn good, man. That was a really, really good basketball team. What do you think of the Huskies winning the title?
I think UConn, this 2023 UConn team will go down as one of the best teams ever to come through the NCAA tournament. And I don't know if that's because of how bad teams were this year in college basketball, or how good they were, which you can take that both ways. You can say that, oh, that was a shame that UConn couldn't have better games. Like that would have been fun to watch. Or, man, I don't know. I just think the field in general was very down, in my opinion. And I think that's why UConn had such, they won, was it plus 15 differential in their points against opposing teams in the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's unheard of. That never happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, the field felt more diluted is how I think I would put it. I don't know if it was like down. It just felt like the teams were more evenly spread out where it's just, there's nobody really, really good. But then UConn turned out to be the great team,
Yeah. And our theory of, we talked about that before the tournament started, our theory of like the two seed through the 15 seed doesn't matter. And I think that this year kind of brought it to a whole nother level, right? like a Florida Atlantic in the Final Four, 16 seed beating another 1 seed. You just go down the line of all these teams that it was so evenly matched. I think it was more evenly matched first and second round than it ever has been, even third round, just because of how open the field was. But UConn, it was pretty obvious. You kind of saw UConn play the first 2 games in the tournament. You're like, okay, they're going back to what they were like at the beginning of the year. Like if they played like that, no one was going to come close to them.
Yeah, and when you just had those 2 bigs who could shut down the paint the way that Sanogo and Klingon could, like Sanogo is so tough offensively, but then you bring in Klingon off the bench, and that guy's just a force defensively. How quick he is around the paint, in addition to being a massive guy. Like, that's the kind of guy that you could see in 4 years being 7'2" and having an NBA future. Whereas like an Edey, I don't know if Zach Edey will play in the NBA because I just don't know if he has that quickness that you need to be able to guard the paint.
And the guy didn't need all NCAA tournament. Can we give the guy an award? Holy shit! Unbelievable.
He's 6th man of the tournament.
Oh my gosh.
He really wasn't on the all tournament team.
I didn't see the all tournament teams or MVPs. I don't even know who won the awards.
Yeah, I know most outstanding player was Sanogo, which I thought was probably good. Jordan Hawkins was incredible though.
Yeah.
When he was out, he was incredible, especially in that championship game.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what his draft stock is like. I haven't looked at any of the boards or anything, but he's got the ability to be a big time NBA player, I think.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. He reminds me of like a less ball dominant Jordan Poole, how quick he can shoot the ball.
Yeah. He's just like, he's got a smooth release. Everything flows so great when he shoots the ball. And he's not selfish. Like that's exactly what NBA teams are looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that guy is going to play professional basketball for a really long time. All right, well, staying on the men's side, the UConn Huskies will enter next year as the favorites to be, well, I guess they are right now the favorites to be the preseason #1 team in the country. This is from the, I've got a bunch of way too early top 25s. Everybody's favorite thing, the way too early top 25. UConn is #1 on ESPN's. That's from Jeff Borzello. They're #1 on a couple other ones. Marquette's #1 in a few, and then Duke is #1 as well. UConn will bring back. They'll bring back Sanogo. Potentially, they're expected to bring back Alex Caravan. Klingon's only a freshman, but he could potentially go pro. I think. And then Jordan Hawkins and Andre Jackson will both probably be gone. It looks like Hawkins is right now a projected lottery pick. So they're going to have to replace some guys. But when you've got Sanogo in the middle, that's a pretty good baseline starting point of like, yeah, we're going to have a good chance to be able to repeat with this guy around us.
Yeah, it kind of seems. Yeah, it kind of seems too, just like the recruits and who they had on this team, and obviously their coach Hurley. They brought UConn back to being a blue blood and competing for national titles year in, year out. I don't see them. I mean, man, the next with Hurley as a coach, I don't see them being out of the top 25 for the next decade, honestly, if he ends up staying there for a long time, like I'd assume he would.
Yeah, that program is going to be a monster. The consensus kind of top 5 right now is UConn, Marquette, Purdue, Duke, Miami's sprinkled in here a little bit, UCLA sprinkled in here a little bit. And then, shockingly, the Florida Atlantic Owls checking in right around #5 in nearly all of these rankings. The Owls return all 5 of their starters from their Final Four team. They lose 1 guy out of the rotation. Man, Florida Atlantic might be in for a dream year. They're going into the American Athletic Conference next year, stepping up from the Sun Belt. Man, it's a good time to be an Owl, is all I'm saying.
It's a great time to be an Owl fan. I might become part of the fandom there. I think I might maybe make a game over there. I don't know. We'll see.
Michigan State has a chance to be really good again next year. AJ Hogard and Jaden Akins are both expected to return. Tyson Walker could return. He has another year of eligibility if he wants to. And then Sissoko will be back as well. And then they've got a pretty good recruiting class. I think they have one of their better recruiting classes they've had in the last 10 years. So Michigan State will be a team to watch. I saw the other day that Kansas had plus 2,500 odds to win the national championship next year, which has to be the longest odds that Kansas has had to win the title going into a season in a really, really long time. But they're right around the top 10. Arizona, Houston, Creighton, Alabama's still in the top 10. Arkansas. Colorado was one that I saw is in the top 15 kind of
What?
randomly. Yeah. I'm not sure. They're only in ESPN's
Gotta
and
be a
they're
typo.
13th. No, it's the real deal. They've got, here's what Jeff Borzello wrote. We are all the way in on the Buffs' bandwagon. They would have been a top 25 team even before Sunday's commitment from TCU transfer Eddie Lampkin Jr. KJ Simpson and Tristan Da Silva, if both return, give Tad Boyle 2 all Pac-12 players to lead the way. And he's adding potential lottery pick Cody Williams, a top 10 recruit. There's a slew of role players also heading back to Boulder. The Buffaloes are coming.
So Buffalo's got some money over there.
They must. They got a top 10 recruit. When's the last time you think they got a top 10 recruit at the University of Colorado?
Never. I don't think that's ever happened.
Colorado basketball recruiting. I want to know. I mean, I would imagine he is their highest rated recruit in program history. All right. All-time recruits. Yes, he is number 1. He is the first 5-star recruit in Colorado's modern history, going back to like 1999.
Good for Colorado. This is what makes NIL so great. We got teams just creeping in the top 25.
I wonder what it is about Colorado that this guy was so sold on. He's a McDonald's All-American going to the University of Colorado. I don't know.
I mean, Boulder is a pretty cool city.
Maybe Coach Prime was in there giving him the recruiting pitch.
Oh, maybe. He's like, you'll play at this fucking school.
Do you think that he knows that Coach Prime's not the basketball coach?
Not yet. But when he steps on campus, he will.
He'll realize, oh, wait, I didn't realize I wasn't playing football. Miami is 14 on ESPN's. Purdue all the way down at 15.
Wow.
But that says it's assuming that Zach Edey doesn't return. Why would Zach Edey not return?
I did see Zach Edey was projected as a first rounder.
Is he?
That might have changed. I think that was in the middle of the year, but I don't imagine him getting a lot of playing time in the NBA right now. I mean, he would be smart to come back.
Right. Well, I would think he would be able to make more money if he came back.
I don't know.
Or wait, he's from Canada, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he can't make money.
No, he's a foreigner. I never thought about that.
We need the Department of Defense to make their proclamation that then we can get the international players can get their money.
I forgot about that. He is wow.
Man,
that sucks.
Who would have ever thought there'd be a day when college athletics was waiting on the Department of Defense?
Well,
we're waiting on a lot of things.
Aren't we all waiting on
for that one specific thing? We're waiting on the Department of Defense.
Aren't we all waiting on the Department of Defense though?
I guess on some level.
Just staying alive.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah. I'm sure the University of Nebraska hopes that they can get that thing done so that Kisei Tominaga can come back for another year. Otherwise, he's going to go to Japan and get his bag over in Japan.
They need to. The world needs a Tominaga to be in America. The world needs it. America needs it.
I've heard some interesting possibilities for Nebraska ball as well. Not enough to say on the pod, but I've heard there might be some good players coming into town in Lincoln if they could add to him.
I would love to. I'm a big Nebraska fan. As much as people from Iowa hate Nebraska, I'm a big Nebraska basketball fan. I love Hoiberg. I love the program. The school, dude, man, I like the facilities are unreal.
Oh, yeah, they're incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah. I don't know why anyone would ever feel threatened by Nebraska ball. Like, it's one thing to hate Nebraska football, but like Nebraska basketball, come on, man.
Yeah.
They're the only Power 5 team that doesn't have a win in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. And you have like one of the most liked basketball coaches to ever come through college.
If Nebraska could make the NCAA tournament and win one game, they would be America's team.
That'd be my team.
I'd be all in. But no, I've heard that there's some
booster.
I've heard there's some really good players that are looking at going to Nebraska. So, I think as the portal continues to open up, I think they're going to continue to be active. USC, Texas A&M, Texas. See, I don't know how you can have Texas here when I guess they have a pretty good recruiting class, but it's like you have to expect Arterio Morris to make a big leap. Tyrese Hunter is testing the NBA draft. I think Dylan DeSue will probably test the draft. Like, that team could be completely different. And that's what my big problem is with these way too early rankings now. We have no idea how many of these guys are even going to be on these teams.
Yeah, half these rosters aren't even close to being filled. We're picking our favorite mascots right now and making it the top 25.
I should come out with a way too early top 25 and just put Iowa State at the top.
Non-biased, Jared Stansbury, top 25. Iowa State number 1.
Iowa State number 1. Nebraska basketball number 2. Off my speculation that I am throwing out there without any names whatsoever. I'll say I just heard that Nebraska getting some good players. I'm putting them number 2.
I have some inside sources.
I have inside sources that Nebraska is going to land at least one good basketball player.
Shit. I hope they do.
Everybody's in trouble. We can talk about that. You and me can talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it after on the podcast yet. I think that'll come out here before too long. North Carolina is number 19. What a fall for the Tar Heels, but at least they're back in the top 25 after missing the tournament. I would imagine that Armando Bacot was willing to pack Caleb Love's bags for him in order to get him into the transfer portal. RJ Davis is coming back, but if I was Armando, I would be going to Hubert Davis and I would say, if you don't get me at least 2 guards who can pass me the fucking ball, then I'm leaving.
I mean, they should be able to get whoever they want. It's North Carolina, man. Like,
you would think.
I would be shocked. Like, the thing is, I need to check what the guards are in the transfer portal. I haven't really looked yet. I know the Oral Roberts guard is in the portal, but I don't think
Max Asmus,
yeah. I don't think he's a good enough. I'm not going to say that he's good enough, but I don't think that's probably what North Carolina is looking for.
Yeah, Max Asmus is in there. LJ Cryer from Baylor, who's a career, I think, 42% 3-point shooter, is in there. He is going to garner, I think, big money from someone. Yeah. North Carolina would probably be a pretty solid type of landing spot for someone like him. Speaking of Baylor, they are a top 20 team. They don't return much from this year's team. That feels like a very we believe in Scott Drew type of situation. Gonzaga is just barely in the top 25. San Diego State top is 22. Tennessee, St. Mary's, UCLA. Iowa State is in the field of 68s, top 25 at 21, and they're in CBS's at 23. But again, Iowa State has 4 freshmen and like a handful of guys that are returning that are all really good role players, and then they need to get people in the portal. So it's hard. Like, it would be hard for me to sit here and say, yeah, Iowa State's a bona fide top 25 team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I just any top 25. You already talked about it. It's just irrelevant right now.
It just is. The portal is fun, but at the same time, it's like we just have no idea what these teams are going to be for another couple of weeks now.
I think that's what makes it so great, though. You just have no clue.
It's going to be like the first week of September, and you and I are going to be like, all right, we should probably figure out who is actually on some of these teams. It's like, because you only get them as trickle-ins, you know? So, like, every once in a while, you'll be like, oh, this guy's going to North Carolina. Okay, we know who North Carolina's team kind of is. And then you think about it then, but you only think about the individual pieces, not the actual team. And then it's like, you get to September, you're like, this is the team. This is a good team. This is a team I don't think will be good, you know? It just takes forever to be able to do those things. You can't do it in April like we used to be able to. All right, this weekend coming up, the Masters. I have no appetite whatsoever for the Masters unless Tiger Woods is in contention. Do you think that Tiger Woods will be in contention so that I should care about the Masters?
Yes. It's the fucking Masters. The fact you're not – you told me before the show, you said word for word, I'm not that big of a fan of the Masters. And I almost dropped dead out of my seat and started punching myself in the face. I am disgusted of you. The Masters is a holiday. First of all, Easter. It's Easter Sunday coming up. One of the best holidays. Yeah. One of the best holidays there is. And the Masters are on it. It's a religious. There's 2 religious holidays this weekend: the Masters and Easter. And how dare you talk dirty about the Masters?
I didn't even talk dirty about the Masters. I just said that if Tiger's not in the mix, I don't care. I care about Tiger. I want to root for Tiger. I don't want to root for all those other guys.
Zach Johnson, Iowa guy?
I'll congratulate Zach Johnson if he wins, but I don't know. Like, I'm not going to be like locked into it, you know?
I'm going to be locked in. You need to. I need to get you. We need to go to a golf event, and your whole life will change. I promise you. If we go to a PGA Tour event, you'll have the greatest time of your life.
Oh, I'm sure I would, because I'd probably be slamming beers and eating $8 pimento cheese sandwiches.
I mean, I'm just saying it's of all the sporting events I've been to, a PGA Tour event's my favorite.
If Tiger's there, I'm there.
Perfect.
If Tiger's not there, I'm not going. I don't care.
Watching Tiger in person, I had something a little brewing downstairs. I'm just saying. And it was brewing hard. It moved.
It moved
Quite a bit.
Who's your pick to win the tournament then?
Tiger. It's always Tiger.
Is it really Tiger?
Tiger and Zach Johnson. Those are my two guys.
So you don't have any like genuine analysis of like, hey, look, keep an eye out for this guy. It's just Tiger or Zach Johnson.
You want to know? All right, two former Masters champions. Tiger just won a few years back. He is arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time. Zach Johnson's an Iowa guy, big friend of mine.
I don't need their credentials to understand why you're cheering for them. I thought maybe you wanted to like actually talk about some guys that were like, you know, you want to say, hey, Dustin Johnson's got a good chance to win this weekend. I think Dustin Johnson's been shooting really well.
It doesn't matter. It's the Masters. It doesn't matter how you played before. It doesn't matter what you did years back. Tiger.
Unless it's Tiger. Unless you're Tiger.
It's Tiger and Zach Johnson. It does not matter.
Unless it's my guys who have already won a combined 6 times. It doesn't matter what they've done in the past.
I'm not even biased either. They're just they're the best golfers on the field.
I did watch Tiger on SportsCenter the other night. It said Tiger spoke because now just any time that Tiger speaks is a huge deal. I listened to what he said, and all I came away with thinking is, sounds like he's ready to win number 6. That's all I hear. I don't know what else I need to, like, what else do we need to know?
All I'm saying is every time there's a picture of Tiger Woods on Twitter, there's a video of him, I sit in my room in the dark and just watch it on repeat for hours on end. That's how much I love the guy.
Have you seen the Tiger documentary on HBO?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's one of the best ones, I think, that's been come out in recent years.
Yes.
Another good one on HBO is the Andre the Giant one. That's actually a sneaky good one.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. You want to talk about a guy who was a fucking dog? Andre the Giant was a dog. Yes.
I haven't seen it. I need to see it.
I don't know if you're a WWE guy. I'm not a WWE guy, but it's an interesting story. He could drink like 60 beers in one sitting.
60?
Yeah.
I have 4. I'm about dead. Unreal.
You're also not, 7 feet tall and weigh 400 pounds?
That's true. Is that how big he was?
Oh, yeah, something like that. I mean, he's he's a big guy, Andre the Giant. He was 7'4", 520 pounds.
Okay, so that was way more than what you just said.
Yeah. So 4 more inches and another 120 pounds.
Can you imagine being a half a ton?
No, I mean he hardly was able to live like real life. You know, it's honestly kind of sad. It's just a sad story.
I don't know his story, so I feel bad
well,
now.
I highly recommend to anybody who has not watched that documentary from like 5 years ago, they should go back and watch it, including you.
I think the bigger story is you should watch the Tiger documentary first.
Yeah.
Because the Masters is the greatest weekend of all sports.
Better than the first weekend in the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Masters is the greatest sporting event in all of sports. It is not close. Maybe the best event of all time. Like not even counting concerts, everything.
Have you been to the Masters?
No.
So just from watching TV, you've been able to gather this?
Yes. Dude, they take your phones. Do you know all the little rules?
Yeah, they take your phone. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Talking about being in the moment, what event can you go to where there's not a single phone in sight nowadays? Name one. I'll wait.
A play.
A play?
Or like a musical. You can't film a musical. You can't have your phone out at a musical.
I doubt that.
No, it's true. Like you can't. That's bad theater etiquette.
Okay, no offense to musicals or plays, but I'm still picking the Masters. I don't give a fuck.
Clearly, you've never seen The Lion King and on Broadway, I guess.
I do want to see. Can't remember the play. It was a musical. Damn. Never mind. Supposedly it was really good.
What, Hamilton?
Yes, it's the Hamilton. Yes. Is it not good?
No, it is. It's just like the most stereotypical play for anybody to want to see in 2023.
Well, that's why we're talking about the Masters here.
Yeah, sorry. But this is my appetite for the Masters. I have a higher appetite for Hamilton than I do for the Masters.
There's
unless Tiger's in contention.
Oh my gosh. Okay, to be fair though, unless Tiger and Zach aren't in contention, I might not watch the Masters.
If they were to miss the cut, you're not tuning in for the weekend.
I'm not. Worst sporting event of all time. Not even close.
Oh, jeez. All right. Did you have a video you wanted to show me, and then we'll sign off?
Oh yeah, we forgot to share this before. We're talking about LSU and Iowa. So those of you that are watching on YouTube, there's a video circling around that went viral of the locker room in LSU before the game, in the locker room of Iowa during a practice or something. And it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
All right, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Just don't belong here. I hope you understand. I gotta go my own way.
Oh, jeez. I already know what's gonna happen here.
Okay, so that was the Iowa video, and then this is a different story over here.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, not quite the same vibe. Not quite the same vibe. Which party do you want to go to?
I don't know.
I would rather go to that one, frankly. The High School Musical party, I think I'm good on.
So the guy that tweeted this, this got like 150,000 likes on Twitter. This guy says, "I can't get over Iowa and LSU facing each other in the women's national championship game. ... A tale of two cultures."
Yeah, it certainly was. It was quite the game. They need to play again though. They need to play again next year.
I think just the coaching dynamic of the two too, like Lisa Bluta and is it Mulkey?
Yeah, Kim Mulkey. I don't know that they could be two more opposite ends of the spectrum.
So funny.
Yeah, one who is very understated and very calm, and then another who is not those things.
Can we just get one technical on Mulkey though? That's all I ask.
Just one.
Just one?
Just one. Get her off the floor, please.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. What a tough scene. All right, man. You got anything else you want to touch on?
I think we're good.
I think we're good, too. We'll talk to you guys again soon. Be back here in the Channel Seed Studios next week. Peace.